Hey, what is up, family? Anthony here, and welcome to the Born to Create podcast. Now, in this episode, I have my boy Jason Henry. Now, Jason was a surprise, right? So when I invited Jason on the podcast, I thought we were talking about music and creating life through music, creating life through spoken word, but Jason totally surprised me. So Jason made a major transformation over the last 2 years, and he comes to the podcast and talks about that transformation, talks about discipline, work ethic, how you can implement these things into building or scaling your business, right? Jason is a totally new man, and I was totally thrown back in awe as to who he's become. Now, during the podcast, Jason mentions several books, but he drops 2 books that really intrigue me. The first one is The Way of the Warrior, right? He drops that book. Second one is Can't Hurt Me, right? So these are 2 books that he drops and that he attributes to being the man that he is. So watching this podcast and talking to him and thinking that if these 2 books made him the man that he is today, I will be a fool not to pick up these books and implement the strategies that they talk about in the book. All right. So limit all distractions, put down your phone, turn off the TV, tell the wife and kids, the husband and kids to go away, take notes and listen to this podcast. All right. Now, you guys know that this podcast is about entrepreneurship. It's about building a business or scaling an existing business. That's what we do. So if you have not already joined the Creators Club, please, there's a link down below. Click the link and be a part of a fast growing exclusive entrepreneurship club that will help you grow and scale your business. We're doing this for $1 for the first 7 days. Give us a test drive. If you don't like us, you can find something else. But this group will help you get into the business and start creating what you want. All right. We'll see you guys inside the podcast, and we'll see you guys in the Creators Club. So Jason, welcome to Born to Create, my brother.
Thank you, man.
I'm super excited about this interview, this opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a minute since we talked.
Yeah.
But I think we never lost that connection.
Yeah.
See your family here and there, but I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. So for those of you who don't know, I say you're one of the most talented brothers I know. Super talented, right? And,
Thank you, man.
And your wisdom, the way you speak, the way you just create art,
yeah,
for me is super amazing. So I wanted to bring you on as a gift to the community, right? To talk about what you're creating, talk about your life, your music, your journey, and everything you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And talk to me about how you first started and got into being a creator. First, tell us what you create, and then where did that love for creation come from?
Yeah,
the art.
Well, first I'll say, man, thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate you, my guy. I definitely enjoy opportunities like this because it just enables me to be able to convey to the world the things that God has been conveying to me. So in a sense of the creation, I believe that God is first and foremost the creator. And all of us humans, we are just mimicking the creator. We are mimicking the one who created us. So that's always been my perspective. But I would say definitely these last 2 years have been the most transformational years of my life. And that's because I've always been a creator. I've been a poet since I was 10 years old. That's when I wrote the first bars. 10 years old, my dad was introducing us to, I don't know if you ever heard of X-Clan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? X-Clan and Bootsy Collins and all of those guys, man. So that's the influence starting out. And then I start writing the poetry, and I've been creating that ever since. And that's always been my therapy. But that's just, kind of like a microcosm of who I am. That's just one of the pieces, like, Batman has that belt, that's just one of the pieces of arsenal in the belt, but most importantly, the reason why these 2 years have been the most transformational is because I've been creating the life that I want. And I found out that it takes much more intention for me to create the life that I want than it does to create the bars that I want. But then, graduating to the understanding that my life is a bar.
My life is a bar.
My life is a bar.
That's a bar.
My life is a bar. So, in regards to entrepreneurship, because I know that is definitely what your expertise is. I've admired your journey throughout these years, just seeing you operate and pursue different endeavors.
Yeah.
And I always admire that persistence, because this journey, it can cause us to, the trials and the roadblocks can either propel you or cause you to step back, and I'll be honest, throughout my journey, I've definitely been caused to step back. But these last 2 years, I've learned how to only move forward.
Wow.
Okay. Only move forward by intentionality and discipline. So, with the music, I've put out albums in the past and, different spoken word videos and all different things like that. I will always do that because that's just a part of who I am, but now I've been creating, and also help my wife. Shout out to flossycakes.com. You guys go ahead and visit that. That's my wife. The link will be
in the description.
Yes. My wife is a cake creator, and she's an inspiration of mine, and I've helped her with that in that journey. But now I'm creating this coaching business, simply because it's totally in line with who I am, and totally in line with where my skill set lies. Discipline coaching. It's the specificity that I have there, because these last 2 years, we were talking before the pod, I was talking about creating a routine. Every day for me, my routine is golden. My routine is my anchor. And my routine enables me to say yes and no to everything. I'll say this one thing and I'll turn it to you. One of the things that God has given me in regards to this is the idea that if everything is a priority, then you have no priorities.
What do you mean by that? Unpack that more for me.
If everything is a priority, you have no priorities. What that means is if everything has the same level of importance in your life, then how do you say yes to this and no to that? It's all important.
It's all important.
Right. So for me, I've been in this place of systematically, arranging my passions, arranging my desires, and even my obligations. And now I can say I have the time and the availability to come and connect with my brother Ant, because it fits into, the routine.
Right. Because before, this was kind of hard to connect, right?
100%. 100%. In the midst of all of this, I've been in a place where I was, on the 9-to-5 life, working 60, 70 hours a week,
I remember that.
Trying to stay afloat, dealing with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, and all of those types of things, having panic attacks. And now I'm at a place to where none of that exists. And like I said, I attribute that to being able to decide what I can say yes to and what I can say no to. So understanding our limitations is actually what brings freedom.
Say that again, please. Say that again, please.
Understanding our limitations is actually what brings us freedom, because it's basically accepting reality, accepting the fact that God is infinite, but I'm not. My finitude is vividly seen, when I'm yelling at my kids because I had a hard day. I'm a finite being. But understanding that I have limitations and I should operate within those, and that's the way I'm able to be my best. Is the nucleus of what I've learned in these last 2 years.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I'm super excited, right?
Yes.
I mean, super excited, super amped. So talk to me about. So you said that you realized that you can create what you want, right? So how did you get to that point? Because that's true. For us, right? However our life is, if we like it or don't like it, that's what we created, right? But it took you a while to get to that point to, wow, I can create what I want. How did you get to that point where 2 years ago that you actually changed your life? How did you get there?
Well, 2 years ago, I was 35 pounds heavier, having a few health issues, even with being, looked at as a health guy, because I've been plant-based, vegan, vegetarian for the last 5 years now.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Still, okay.
5 years,
Wow.
man, you know. So I was always interested in health, but I couldn't connect the dots,
Yeah.
you know, on how it all correlated together.
Yeah.
So, you know, the diet is one thing, but the exercise is another, you know, and once again, having the boundaries to say no is another,
Yeah.
you know. So understanding that I was in a place of really operating outside of my limits. So it caused, like I said, a lot of stress, anxiety, and ultimately just very minimal productivity.
Wow.
You know, and then you look at that and you say, okay, why am I here? How did I get here? And then when you get to a place of honesty, you eventually say, oh, it's because of me.
Yeah.
It's because of me.
When you get to a place of honesty.
Yes, the place of honesty is the place where you own what is within your power.
Right.
And it's so many, like I said, God is ultimately in control, but it's so much that he's given us to be in control of.
Yeah.
Even in the Bible, it talks a lot about stewardship.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to be a good steward, not just of my money, because that's how most people focus on money.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where we want to be stewards. Yeah. But are you steward with your time? Mm-hmm. You know, are you a steward with, like I said, your diet?
Yeah.
You know, are you a steward with how much you entertain yourself?
Yeah.
We were talking before the pod, and like I said, this September has been a year since I've been off of social media.
Right.
And I looked at my phone, right? You asked about how did I get to this place of creating. I looked at my phone and I said, I always complain about not having enough time. I don't have enough time to do this and this. Like, oh man, it's not enough time in a day. Yeah. But then when I got on the iPhone and I went into settings and I saw my screen time was like average 3 to 4 hours on social media in a day between Facebook, Instagram.
Crazy.
You know, I said, wow, how much value is this bringing to me? And it's taking this much time. Yeah. How much value is it bringing to me? What is my net value? What is my ROI on this time spent, you know, on these platforms? Yeah. And then I decided, wow, I'm actually not receiving any value right now. The only thing I'm receiving is a dopamine overload from being exposed to this guy being shot, this young lady twerking, you know, this. Yeah. And then we wonder why we have this overload and we're not able to create.
So you were caught up in the matrix.
Caught up in the matrix, subjugated to the algorithm, you know, and when you break free from that because you realize this isn't wisdom. I'm always about determining what's foolish and what's wise. Yeah. You know, and I said, this isn't wisdom. And then as I begin to break away, I begin to exercise more. Mm-hmm. As I begin to break away, I begin to write. That's another side, but I am also writing a book. Okay. But I begin to write more. As I begin to break away, first and foremost, I begin to be a better father and a better husband, you know. So then I said, wow, I broke away from this, which seemed like a sacrifice because now I'm not as connected with my friends, right? That's another story. But now I'm not as connected with my friends, so it seems as if it was a sacrifice. But then if I weigh it with what I've gained, it actually wasn't a sacrifice. It was a necessary decision.
It was an investment into your return.
There you go.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I also read this book by Erwin McManus called The Way of the Warrior. And he had a quote in the book that said, the future belongs to those who have the courage to create it. The future belongs to those who have the courage to create it. And I've never forgot that quote. And just the premise of the book in total. But it caused me to, and I got this from one of my mentors, Jonathan Belima. You know,
who's that? Who's that?
Some guy. I don't know, man. You know, but it caused me to, release a victim mentality, as you have crossed out in your shirt, and take full ownership of my life. You know, and as you take full ownership of your life, then you realize that everything that's happening is a result of decisions that you've made.
Wow.
So then you say, I probably should make different decisions in order to get different results.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. That's where we were with it.
I feel like I'm talking to a new man, and I am, right. I mean, same shell, same frame, but the mentality is different.
100%.
And as men, we think that we have to take care of our families first, our wives, our kids first,
Yeah.
our family. But it seems like you decided to choose yourself. Then choosing yourself, you're able to provide for and love your family more.
Yes.
Right. So how hard was the sacrifice in choosing yourself first, and then how did that play with your mental in the beginning?
Yeah, I think it was just because I'm a very cerebral person, a very logical person. So for me, it has to make sense first before I can begin to take steps toward whatever that thing is.
Okay.
It has to make sense first. So for me, I was under the understanding of putting everyone before me is what made the most sense because, like, man, you just want to be a good man, don't you? Good men put people before themselves.
Right.
But then I realized that in order to have something to give to others, I first have to have something that I've received. I have to give something to myself before I can give something to others.
Right.
And that's actually more logical because it makes me more impactful in the lives of those that I love.
Right.
So once that happened, and once again, that's through, I'm huge on self-education.
Yeah.
I love books. I love many different authors because, we're in an age of information, and I feel like there's almost a way to learn anything now.
Yeah.
So we are left without an excuse. We are left without an excuse, and that's where I ended up at.
Yeah.
Understanding that I didn't have an excuse to not be who God created me to be, to not be operating at my highest level, to not be successful. And success for me, it has very little to do with money and much more to do with peace. Because peace is one of those things that you cannot buy.
You cannot buy peace.
You cannot buy it.
You cannot buy it.
So,
but lack of it can destroy you.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Yes.
And that's where I am now. I'm at a place of peace, a place of self-love, understanding that, I'm my best for my wife when I have taken care of myself. Some days I get off work because I still have a job that I'm using for my next steps. Creating my own capital, but sometimes I would get off and my wife, like, you look stressed, and she already knows. She's like, you headed to the gym? I'm like, oh yeah. I'm headed to the gym because I know what my medicine is. I know what I need, and that's what every man must learn. Every person must learn, every woman, what is it that fuels you? What is it that can aid you in this journey of life? Because every day we're going to be encountered with some type of obstacle. So part of releasing the victim mentality for me is no longer being surprised when conflict arose.
Wow.
No, like I'm expecting, I'm expecting some type of suffering, even minimal suffering of sitting in traffic for longer than I expected. I'm expecting the suffering. And in 2020, like I said, in 2 years, 2020, I began running again, and I purposely went out when it was 110 degrees and ran 5 miles.
Wow.
I purposely went out and ran. The longest I ran out, and even this summer, was 10 miles. And it's really just been in a place of, all right, if I can do this, then everything else is easy.
So why did you choose to go out in the hottest part of the day to go run 5-10 miles? Why did you choose that time of day?
Because I wanted to be as uncomfortable as possible. Because when you practice being uncomfortable, then you're always comfortable. People who are surprised by, oh, this happened. We're, like I said, the dopamine overload, we're shaken up by so many things that happen. This politician is in office, this happened, that the gas prices are so high. Oh my God, life is ending, but it's like these things are very minimal in the grand scheme of things when you are able to think on a high level. That
reminds me of David Goggins. That's your guy, huh?
That's my guy.
That's your guy.
That's my guy.
And he says that I purposely put myself in positions of suffering so I can know what it feels like and get through it.
Yes.
And I took on the same thing. It's like if I'm scared of something, I know I have to do it.
There you go.
I have to, because if I conquer that, I can do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And this podcast is a result of that, because I came from a place where I grew up with a major freaking stutter. Right. So I was scared to speak.
I see.
And I would be called a mute, you know, you can't talk, you know, you stutter. I'm like, okay. So every time I talk to somebody, get in front of a room, a fear sets over me. I'm like, what are they going to think about me?
Yeah.
You know, how do I sound?
Sure.
So I purposely just push myself. You know what? My message is not about me. It's for someone.
Yes.
Right. So I have to purposely put myself in positions where I'm a little bit afraid. A little bit of suffering, right? So I love that about you, because it grows us, it refines us. It's like being forced by fire, right?
Yeah.
And it works. So talk to me about your routine. You know, because it seems like that shaped or shaping who you are now and who you are going to be in the future. Yeah. So talk to me about your routine.
Yeah, my routine. And first I wanted to just comment on what you said and say, like, man, congratulations.
Thank you.
You've overcome it.
Yes.
Because I think you're a great communicator.
Thank you.
So for you to face it and then evolve to who you are, that's inspirational, man.
Thank you.
That's inspirational.
Thank you.
But my routine, it's rooted in, as I said earlier, my priorities.
Yeah. What is it, by the way?
The
routine.
I'll get.
Okay.
I'll say this first.
Okay.
When it comes to accountability, because I'm big on accountability, right? But I'm big on first, and this is also correlating with Goggins, but I'm big on first holding myself accountable. So I broke the world of accountability into a place of, you must give an account for your ability. You know, accountability really is, I am giving an account for my abilities.
Right.
You know, and which leads me to the routine.
Right.
You know, what is it that I'm passionate about? What is it that I'm trying to accomplish? Goal setting is huge for me.
Yeah.
You know, and when you set the goals, then you are able to say, oh, okay, so if I'm going to still be a great husband, still be a great father, and provide for my family, and also pursue this goal, this is the life it's going to take. This is the routine it's going to take.
Yeah.
This is sometimes the isolation that it's going to take. You know, and your real friends will understand. You know, but I've separated myself from a lot of different activities, a lot of different people, because I just don't have time. Because of the goals.
Because of the goals.
So my routine looks like me getting up every day at 4 a.m. Every day at 4 a.m., even weekends.
Okay.
And that's more so when you understand your circadian rhythm. Because my coaching will be, you know, in time management, life coaching, but also in that health world and the mental health world, because our circadian rhythm it's really our body being set on a timer, you know, our body being able to operate at its highest capacity, because you go to bed generally at the same time and you get up generally at the same time.
There's no inconsistency.
There's no inconsistency, so your body doesn't have to catch up to dysfunction. You know, you set your body up for success. Now I can operate. Now I can think when it's time to think, because my mind is like, I'm ready. You know, so I'm getting up at those times. I'm exercising first thing in the morning. You know, and sometimes exercising twice a day before I go to sleep, because you know, exercise, as you know, many people know, it produces so many hormonal shifts that are complementary to your body. You know, because stress, you know, releases so much cortisone, you know, and that's what causes us to feel heavy. Sometimes, you know, you go through life and you feel like somebody's just pressing down on your shoulders, you know, but then when you work out, the dopamine is released and the cortisone is subsided, and now you feel like you literally took some type of medicine. You know, so if we have access to this, because God created us to move, that should be a part of your routine. So it's a part of mine. You know, the foods that I eat are a part of my routine. I understand many people say that health is wealth, but they don't prioritize their health. So prioritizing my health is a huge part of my routine. I'm big on tracking. I'm a very rudimentary person in that regard. Like, I track how much water I get a day.
Really? Okay.
That's a part of my routine. I got to get at least 100 ounces, close to a gallon.
Okay.
Because that's what's going to have me operate at an optimal level.
Right.
I track, it's an app, MyFitnessPal. Most people know about that. But one of the people primarily use it for calories. I use it for the nutrients.
Okay.
And this is related to mental health. This is related to being a creator. This is related to entrepreneurship, because who doesn't want to operate at their highest level when they're pursuing any task, any endeavor? Right. So when I see then my sodium is high, we shouldn't get over 2,300 milligrams of sodium a day. So when I see that that's higher, I know I need to eat more potassium, because potassium is going to counteract the sodium. So when you are, and this is a plug for the business, it's coming. Be on the lookout. My brother Anthony's going to post it when I launch it. But when you are able to understand these things, you're able to monitor your progress and monitor, how well you're doing in the day.
Right.
Getting up in the morning and setting goals. I want to accomplish this, this, and this. So my whole day is about that. But at the same time, how much time does my wife need?
Right.
Because there's no sense of me getting financial success if my wife is divorcing me. Right. So how much time does she need? Let me fulfill that. How much time does my kids need? There's no sense of getting financial success if my daughter is feeling unloved, and now she's pursuing now she want to pursue boys and different things because she's not getting love from her father. That won't be mine. I'm obsessed with them. I tell my kids, I forgot to tell you something, and my daughter say, "Oh my God, I know I'm beautiful." Okay, they get tired of hearing it. As well as with my son. So, prioritizing my family, prioritizing my health, those are the fundamentals of my routine. Because as I said, if everything has the same level of priority, well, then you have no priorities. And then I'm able to be a creator. Then I'm able to work on things and help people. I coach one of my buddies, Ryan. Shout out to him if he sees this. Ryan Murphy.
Oh, okay, my guy.
You know that young man.
Yeah.
He was actually and that's friendship. In an entrepreneurial journey, you want to reach out to the people 100%. That are behind you. But in January of this year, I began coaching him.
Nice.
And from January to now, he's been consistent. He's lost, I believe, about 20 to 30 pounds.
Wow.
He's still working out 7 days a week as I am.
You're doing 7 days a week?
7 days a week. Why should there be a day off? Once I find a reason why it should be a day off, then I'll take a day off.
So the argument that the people will say, and I'll say too, is like your body needs rest and be able to recover.
Sure. So it's about the level of intensity.
Gotcha.
Now I'm definitely not running 10 miles every day.
Okay.
Some days it may just be a 2-mile walk.
Okay.
As I spend time with the priorities, talking to my mother. I've burned calories. I spent about 40 minutes because it's 20 minutes per mile. And then I get back home. Time for the family. Had a nice little brisk walk. So that's considered working out because it is working out. It's just at a very low level. And then the next day it will be increased and the intensity will be much higher. So a day off still involves some form of being uncomfortable. I don't look at TV. I rarely have a lot of entertainment because I realized I was sacrificing investments in my kids for entertainment for myself. So the only entertainment I get is while I work out. I listen to a podcast, I listen to an album or anything of that sort, but and then that's it. So, your routine is going to cause you to cut a lot of stuff out in order to get a lot back. So yeah, that's that's pretty much the bulk of it, man. 4 a.m. I'm up, 9 p.m. I'm asleep, and what I do between that time is beautiful.
And thank you.
That's a great analogy too.
And you're pushing me to want to. We talk about in business that in order to be successful, you have to be consistent. You need a routine. You got to do the same thing every single day.
Yes.
But you're talking about doing that in business and in health, right? Because it's a correlation, right?
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes when you miss the mark or not sure what's going on, there's some sort of inconsistency in your life, right? You may be on business-wise, but how's your sleep schedule? How was your eating schedule? How's the time that you're putting in? So that for me was super eye-opening. Super eye-opening. So the coaching business. Now, walk me through what you actually do as a coach for someone.
First, I like to start people off with a 30-day trial.
Okay.
And in that time, I'm specifically teaching you how to be disciplined. So I call myself a discipline coach. Because that's my specialty. I believe we should coach in whatever our specialty is. So when you get the sum total of someone's life, what you get in that sum total is a result of how disciplined they were. So I basically help people to be disciplined, because discipline is the vehicle to reach your goals. So first you set the goals, and then through discipline, that's how you drive to those goals. And many people don't know how to figure it out. Many people, they know of many things that they can do. They just don't know how to start. And that's why I say within the first 30 days, I'm going to focus on your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, financial health. All of that is included, but my specialty is not to tell you step by step what to do in each of those things. I'm here to help you formulate a routine that is disciplined, that you can stick to, and it's going to be phases, because that's what a lot of people do. They go in just all out, the beginning of the year, January, everyone wants a gym membership. And they say, I'm going to go to the gym every day. I didn't start off doing this every day. You know what I'm saying? I started off saying, I want to be able to work out 2 to 3 times a week. And I worked out 2 to 3 times a week, and I got the confidence to build it up. And then that's how I was able to get consistent, because I started off with doable goals. Confidence comes, what is that saying? You probably heard this quote before. Confidence comes by making promises to yourself and keeping them, right? So I want to make promises to myself, and I want to keep those promises. The key is to teach people, which is what I specialize in. I teach people how to make reasonable promises, because you have this thing called cognitive dissonance, to where if you're making promises that you're to yourself that you're not keeping, well, now you're teaching yourself not to trust yourself. And the longer you teach yourself not to trust yourself, now you will succumb to fear. You will succumb to hesitation and procrastination, because you don't know if you're going to be able to do it. But when you make reasonable goals, and then I'm talking about goals to where it's like, I'm only trying to work out 20 minutes twice a week. Now, if you can't do that, we got bigger problems. You know what I'm saying? But most people can. So once you start off at a very low level, you're able to build, gradual increase. When it comes to building muscle mass, I've learned 2 things: time under pressure and progressive overload. So the longer I'm doing it, I'm going to see results. Guaranteed. I like guarantees. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to wonder if this is going to get me to a place or not. I like guarantees. The longer you have any type of resistance, you are going to get muscle mass. And when you have the progressive overload, not just staying at this one level of working out, and this is just an example, a microcosm, working out 2 times a week, not staying there next week, let's get 3 times. And 2 weeks later, let's get 4 times. And then you set up a reward system, because our brains need to know that there's a reward in doing this. So anyway, I help people to be able to set up a routine that is only maintained through discipline and understanding yourself, releasing all limiting beliefs on what you can't do. Let's just focus on what you can do. Because the can't is where the victimization is. The can is where the winner is where the successful, highest level of you is. So, that's where I am. And like I said, I've been seeing success with my clients, and sustainable, because I'm all about, like I said, guarantees, sustainable success,
A few things. I mean, I got like 3 takeaways from that.
Yes.
Right. So the first one is it seems like you coach your clients not saying, you know what, this is what you should be doing, Ryan, or you should be doing, David.
Yeah.
You're saying that this is what I've done and it's worked for me, and now I'm speaking off of experience, right?
Yes.
So is that correct?
It is correct in the sense of I'm very principle based.
Yeah.
You know, it's always one principle and many methods that comes out of that principle.
Right.
So the methodology can change, but the principles are very consistent.
Right. And then the second one, you talked about when you stop trusting yourself, right? So for me, that triggered when the trust sets in. I'm sorry, when the distrust sets in for yourself, you start to negotiate with yourself, right? And before, you know, rest in peace, the late great Kobe Bryant, when he before he passed away, I was able to see him speak. Yeah. And somebody asked him, "How are you one of the greatest to ever play the game?" Right? And he says, "I do not negotiate with myself."
There we go.
Right?
Yes.
And I think so many people negotiate with themselves, right? And it's like, what are your non-negotiables?
Yes.
You know, know them, memorize them, put them into your spirit. What are they? And I believe if you stop negotiating with yourself and you say, you know what, I'm doing this, you will be able to trust yourself.
Yes.
You know, even if you lost trust, you can gain it back.
You can absolutely gain it back.
You can gain it back. So the third one I forgot, but we're gonna keep rolling.
Yes.
So let me go back real quick. We're talking about health and fitness and mental. What I've learned is it's about a lifestyle.
Yes.
So for me, for example, had high blood pressure, overweight, eating like crap, not working out. Started going to the gym, started working out. I was still on meds, but my blood pressure wasn't coming down. But I'm like, I'm eating right, you know, I'm working out, I'm running. But I still had stress in my life.
There we go.
Right? Yeah. And you talked about peace.
Yes.
Right? So you can do all this stuff to eat right and get in good shape, but if there's no peace, that still affects your body. That still affects who you are internally. So I love when you talk about peace, because peace gives you the complete package. Yes. Right? Instead of being one-sided or lopsided. Right? So yeah, just want to say that. Yeah. So the book. So tell me a little bit about the book. I mean, I know it's a work in progress, and it's going to be a masterpiece. I can already tell me. If it's a fraction of what you're giving now, this podcast, it's going to be a masterpiece. So tell us about the book.
So I'm working on a book that's called The Reason for Me.
Okay.
The Reason for Me, and it's first I was going into the realm of existentialism, which is like, why are we here? You know, why? Because I'm very philosophical in regard to asking those hard questions of life, like what is the point of being disciplined? You know, what is the point of being in good health? Most people say YOLO. You know, you only live once. Eat what you want, do what you want. You know,
it should be opposite.
Exactly.
You live once, so take care of what you have.
There we go. Stewardship.
Right.
You know, let me take care of this temple. You know, so it started off simply just dealing with the question of why are we here, the reason for us. You know, and then it turned into the reason for me. And I got that title from one of my favorite authors, Tim Keller. He wrote a book called The Reason for God, and it was very practical. And I recommend anyone to read that. But it was very practical and very potent in the idea of why do we even need a God? You know, so from that, you know, I piggybacked on that title with The Reason for Me, because like I said, it started with existentialism only, and then now it's becoming like my memoirs. You know, because I've been through so much in my life, and I'm grateful now. I'm grateful now for every one of the trials. And I think that's when you can write a book on your life. You know, when you become grateful for everything that has taken place, because you understand that everything that's taken place has been used to make you into who you are. And if you are satisfied with who you are, if you are thankful for who you are because you love yourself. We talked about self-love earlier. Well, then you would be grateful for everything that's taking place. So, you know, just thinking, I've grew up, as you already know, but I grew up in the Los Angeles area, Watts, California, South Central California. I'm born in '84, you know, so I grew up in the '80s and the '90s, seeing things, you know, in a very dysfunctional state, you know.
You make me feel old, man. 84, you make me feel old.
No, you good. We look the same age. Hey, you know, you looking beautiful, baby. But no, so just, you know, overcoming so many different things in my life, you know, that's kind of just in a nutshell what the book is about. And it's basically telling the story to how I got to where I am. And this is why I can speak confidently because I've made promises to myself and kept them. I can say, man, I'm a successful man.
Love it.
Man, I'm a very successful, I'm a very motivated person, and I'm very thankful for who I am. You know, so then that motivates me to say, you know what, I probably should write about it. You know, because I also believe that tomorrow is not promised. You know, I also believe that, you know, we are not controlling our checkout date. So we should use and maximize every day to its fullest capacity. And also share our journey in settings like this, in books, in different things, you know what I'm saying? Because it can help other people. And that's really why we're here, is to love and help other people.
You talked about a checkout date. And I was watching a video, I think it was on YouTube. And one of the guys, big influencer, his fan asked him, what's the best advice you can give me to get motivated? And he says, you're going to die.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
Because it's a short life. It may seem long, but it's a short life and you only get one, right? You talked about the body being a temple. Last week I was watching a documentary on, I think it was Netflix or Amazon Prime, but it was on Warren Buffett. And he was talking to a class and he said, what if I gave you guys brand new car? Brand new car, sparkly, fresh off the lot. I just gave it to you, right? The best car on the planet. But the catch is, you only get one car for the rest of your life. It's the only car you can drive for the rest of your life.
Interesting.
He says, look at that as your body. You get one body, right? Because if I gave you that car, you would take care of it. You would shine, because there's only one, right?
It's only one.
It's our body, right? So you have one body, one life. So be careful on what you put into it, how you treat it, what you allow in, right? Because energy is important, right? And everything that you're saying, I can hear it. Most of all, Jay, I can feel it, right? I can feel it in my soul. How do you control your energy? And how does the bad stuff bounce off of you? I mean, you take some in, it's all bounce off. How do you control your energy, giving and receiving?
That's a powerful question. I think it's so when I wasn't controlling my energy, right? And they say depression is when you're stuck on the past, and anxiety is when you are fearful of the future. So depression is rooted in the past, anxiety is rooted in the future. Controlling my energy and being which I just interpret to being fully present, you know, in every moment that you are blessed with, you know. So the way I do that is I try to put everything in its proper place. As you said, we are all going to die, you know, therefore. You know, I'll take away the period and put a comma there. We are all going to die, comma. Therefore, we should be grateful. Grateful for each day. And I think I actually was just talking to my kids about this. You know, they were here. They would they would recite the lecture. You know, but you know, sometimes kids are ungrateful. You know,
sometimes. Sometimes. I need your kids, you know. Let's switch.
Sometimes they vehemently express their ungratefulness, you know. And when you hear it, as hard as you work for them, you know, my initial response is to become offended. You know, like what do you mean? Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know the discomfort that I willingly put myself through because I love you and I want you to have such and such, and now you are ungrateful?
Yeah.
You know, but then I snap out of there and go to a place of teaching, because I believe parenting is simply, it can be summed up in one word: teaching.
Right. Teaching.
You know, so it turns into a teaching moment and say, okay, well, is it benefiting you to complain about it? Or is it more benefit to you because the complaining is causing you to be disrupted internally? Your energy is disrupted.
Yeah.
You know, you're not able to really enjoy this time you have. School is over.
Yeah.
You know, we had this conversation in the summer as well. Where I'm like, you're going to have to get up every day.
Yeah.
So you better enjoy this vacation time, you know, and be grateful for it. You know, be grateful for it. So gratefulness to me is the anchor for controlling your energy. Gratefulness to me is really, you know, how we are able to consistently walk in peace. You know, because peace is complete harmony with oneself. You know, a complete acceptance of reality. Peace is the antithesis of anxiety. They cannot exist at the same. You can't be peaceful and anxious at the same time.
Right.
You know, but I access that peace by being thankful. I'm thankful that I'm breathing right now. The small things. I'm thankful that I literally can walk. What an amazing thing that I can walk. You know, so the thankfulness, the gratefulness is probably, you know, the center of my energy, man.
And like you said, it's an anchor. I mean, being grateful takes you leaps and beyond of where you are now. Right? I saw a meme on social media a while back, and I guess it was this high-end car. Say it's a Rolls Royce, right? Rolls Royce put to a light, and a guy pulls up to next to it in a Toyota. The guy in Toyota says, "You know what? Dang, you know, I wish I had that Rolls Royce." Right?
Sure.
Toyota. Guy pulls up to him in a bike, right? Saying, "Dang, I wish I had that Toyota." Right?
Yes.
The bike.
Yes.
A guy walks past him. Man, I wish I had a bike. So the guy's walking. A guy in a wheelchair rolls up. He say, "Man, I wish I can walk." Right? So it's all about being grateful for what you have, right? And I think a lot of people miss that point. Because there is a lot of complaining in this world, right? And I think complaining keeps you, I know it keeps you stuck. Because if you can't see past the complaining, because you get more of what you think about, right? Whatever you focus on expands, right? And if we stop being victims and we start complaining and step into being creators, then everything that we want will come to pass. It won't be easy, but in the end, it's worth it, right? And I think a lot of people miss that part about being grateful, right? Because it's a huge part of my life and your life, and I think it's still super important. All right. So thanks for sharing that.
Of course, man.
This podcast for me, well, let me say this. You set your intention every day, right? This is what I intend to do, and from the time you wake up and your attention is here, there's stuff that's going to go on during that day. But no matter what goes on or how people react to you or something goes sideways, you know your intention, right? So everything else is just part of the journey, right? It seems like nothing's going to knock you off your intention. Like nothing, right? The suffering, the headaches, the stuff at work, you know, the kids. My intention is set. So no matter what happens, well, I get there. So that's what sets my peace. Is that right?
100%.
100%. And
intentionality, man. That's the other word.
Intentionality. Okay. Intentionality. I love it. So this podcast for me, I thought it was going to be strictly about the art, the music, right? And that's still something I want to touch on. But we went in a whole different direction, which everything works out for a reason. Because you know, even though this is a podcast, I'm talking to you. You coach me through some stuff right now, you know, and I thank you for that. Right?
Of course, man.
So before we close, I want to talk a little bit about the music, right? How how much a part of your life is that right now? Mm-hmm. The Last Dragon, something like that.
Yeah. I was talking with a friend the other day, and they were talking about the show Stranger Things, and I was like, I've never seen that. Yeah. You never seen Stranger Things? Like some people, their mind is blown when you have never seen Squid Game. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But for me, man, you know, being able to just hone in on who I am and what I have the capacity to do. Yeah. that's what keeps me at my highest level. So, you know, with the music, it's more so in a sense of I'm going to use that as I see fit.
Okay, love it.
I'm going to use that as I see fit. Yeah. You know, I can spit some bars right now for you.
I was going to ask
you know what I'm saying?
Bars,
because it's just a part of me. It's who I am. Yeah. Malcolm Gladwell says, you know, the whole in his book Outliers, the 10,000 hour rule.
That's right behind you.
Know, you become an expert. I'm an expert with these bars. Yeah. You know, and you know, it's a beautiful thing. But as I approach, you know, 2 years, I'll be 40. You know, I totally understand how a shift can take place. Yeah. And because the bars, I'll give you some bars in a sec, but the bars actually, and this is what's I was just talking about this with my best friend the other day. We were talking about writing lyrics, you know, because when you really get into what emceeing is, you know, a master of ceremonies, microphone checker, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm able to really become a wordsmith. Yeah. So I was the guy in high school that was in a cipher. Yeah. Somebody's giving the beat, and I'm freestyling when I was, you know, 16 years old, Long Beach, Jordan. You know,
why look at David? Why look at David over there?
You know, if my wife sees this, she'll know that when she saw me in Long Beach, Jordan rapping, I saw her standing by looking like, now that's a man right there.
That's a man right there.
That's a man right there. You know what I'm saying? So it actually helped cultivate my gift of communication. Yeah. And the gift of communication, I was rapping before I was preaching. Oof. So then when I became a believer in Jesus in 2002, and I immediately began preaching, people was like, wow, how does he communicate like this? Well, I've been rapping. So it's funny how God can use gifts to help cultivate other gifts. Yeah. You know, and because we are not segmented people, we are whole people. Yeah. So it's all me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when I get to a place to where I'm like creationist, I'm taking this to the next level. Every devil got to pay for this. Basically, I'm saying that I'm made for this. Rewind my verse. You can spend a day with this. Every deed is thankless. I represent the Lord God of heaven. He is ancient, but newer than computers with an M1. Jesus loving black man with emblems. Cross on my neck, no addendums. I demand respect and then some. Got my hand in check, no satanic stress. I will manifest. My dreams high. Seems I used to be in the streets like bow ties and bean pies. In 1992, with a grimy crew, I would spit these balls till I'm 92. I'm plant-based, eating flax seeds, drinking ginger root, reading in the Pentateuch. Listen to an interview, Elon and Joe, it's a must watch. They were talking AI, and it was like a bus stop. I got off, reminded me of AI, that one time when he got off and crossed over greatness. My phone was inspiration, the phone was personification of information. I felt great that day. You know, so I could give you a verse at any time. It will never depart me.
Never.
You know, so.
That was beautiful, bro.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother. You know.
I don't know. From there, I have no idea where to go, right? Where to go. So. Two more things real quick.
Sure.
One is, how do you limit distractions?
Whew, that's an easy one. Because like I said, 2 years ago is when this extreme transformation began in 2020, COVID, you know, and all of that. And that's when I realized, wow, I've been distracted. Sometimes when we talk about being in the matrix, the definition of being in the matrix is you don't know you're in the matrix until there's an outside force that reveals that you're in it. Yeah. You know? So for me, my Morpheus, you know, was a panic attack. Yeah. It was a panic attack that I had in 2020 that, you know, had me in the emergency room.
Really?
Yeah, wow. yeah. I thought I was about to die, man. Wow. You know, and it wasn't my first panic attack. I had my first panic attack in 2012, so 10 years ago. But this one was 100% the biggest one. Wow. And God used it to be my Morpheus. You know, he used it to basically make me vividly aware that I am so distracted that I am not even keeping track of where I am emotionally.
Wow.
I'm so distracted, I don't even know where I am, mentally and spiritually, because of the busyness of life. So I'm huge on minimalism.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm huge on simplification.
Yeah.
And that's what took me off of social media. Because the more time I spent scrolling was all of the time that I should have spent scrolling through me. So I scrolled through me and I found out, this is why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
You've been neglecting things that you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the cognitive dissonance, because whenever we go against what we know to be true, we become so incongruent that we are not functioning at a stable level. So then you have a panic attack.
Yeah. Wow.
So through the trials is what God used to be the awakening, the awakening for me.
Yeah.
And you talked about Kobe. I read a book by Tim Grover, Relentless.
Yep.
I read.
That's behind you too. It's back here too.
You see?
Yeah.
You talked about Goggins. I read Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah.
I read The Way of the Warrior, Herbert McManus. I read Digital Minimalism. Like so many, so many books that I inundated myself with, and I had time once I shut out the distractions.
Yeah.
So that's how I keep away with the distractions. First, I had to become aware of them, and then I had to make choices, because life is about choices.
Yeah.
Okay, now that I know this is a distraction, will you continue therein?
Yeah. Right. Wow.
Now, look. Now that I know that every human, and I'm gonna bring it back to the health.
Yeah.
Now that I know that every adult human should only get about 36 grams of sugar a day, then how much will you get?
So how much? Wow. That's it's more than like one soda. Right?
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
Crazy.
So we have to do something about it.
We gotta do something.
So yeah, man.
So the most important things in your life, right? I want to touch on that.
Yes.
And touch on how it was changed because of the new you, right? How did your marriage change? You as a father change with being the new you. How did that change?
Dramatically, and my wife can attest to this. For us, shout out to us. This, September 25th, we just reached the 17 years of marriage. I know you understand such a journey.
Yes.
You're a little older than I am, so that's child's play to you.
A little bit.
17 years of marriage, you have your ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
And I would say 100% arguments have decreased. The more I love myself, the more I'm able to love her.
Wow.
The more I take care of myself and understand my limits, the more I'm able to be, empathetic of her limits. I'm able to show her more grace and not be one thing that, and everyone that knows me knows I'm a very transparent person because I'm a free black man.
Yes,
you feel me? So I'm able to, not live with any type of fear of opinions. But one of the things my wife would share with me is, about being overly critical.
Yeah.
And I think every ambitious man, that is leading his family at times will be maybe excessively critical of his wife, because she is a reflection of you, and you want to be reflected properly.
Wow.
Right? But then I would attribute this to a gentleman by the name of Richard Hobbin. I went through coaching with him in 2020. So investing in myself through life coaching with Richard, that was instrumental for me, because it brought to my understanding that I wasn't showing my wife grace because I wasn't showing myself grace. No problem. The goal.
Yeah.
Okay. In addition to the coaching, also doing the public speaking.
Okay.
That is totally in support of they're correlating with each other.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, man.
Awesome. All right. Where were we? I don't remember where we were.
Talking about my wife and just how our marriage have been impacted through me making these changes, and just to sum up where we've arrived to in my marriage. It's been a place of just showing my wife grace and understanding that we are equals, and I would not be the man I am without her. But in order to really love her, I need to love me, and not feeling like a bad husband when I put myself first. you know, because my priorities are God first, then myself. And I learned this from Richard. But God first, then myself, then my wife, then my kids, and then everything else. You know, so she understands that since I've prioritized my health, prioritize just my self-care and self-love, that I've been loving her better.
Yeah.
I've been less critical.
Right.
I've been less demanding.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm strictly just supportive of her journey in every way. I'm actually coaching her now.
Nice.
You know, and you know, she's been a stay-at-home mom / entrepreneur herself with flossycakes.com. You know, so but now she's getting into place of really prioritizing her health.
Yeah.
So now we know that earlier in the morning, around 4:15 a.m., I'll be at the gym. And then we know around 9 a.m. after she, you know, dropped the kids off, she'll be at the gym, you know? So now I realize, and here's the biggest thing on how this journey has impacted my family, right? And my marriage first and foremost, is I realize that the more I release control and teach things silently, teach things through my actions and through my life, then it's received more than just simply being someone who communicates in words only. So communicating to my kids, not just with my words, but through my lifestyle, they have a dad that they can depend on. They have a dad to where they know my schedule. They have a dad to where they know my son comes to me and say, I need guy time. You know, because he has sisters. He's around his sisters all the time. So he comes to me, he says, I need guy time. I say, come here, son. You know, so I'm not distracted by social media. I'm not distracted by some frivolous financial endeavor, you know, because I'm honed in on where I'm going to increase in that area. So now I have said no to those things so I can say yes to him.
Wow.
You know, I'll leave it there. Right?
So is social media, is it permanent or just indefinite, or just like you taking it day by day, like, or are you like, where you at right now with social media?
I asked myself that.
Okay.
And because I initially said I just wanted to do a year off, and then a year came, you know, the beginning of September, and now I'm like, I kind of, you know, still want to be off. So I don't think it's indefinite, but I do think what I did is I gave myself permission not to answer that question.
Gotcha.
You know, and I said,
if you answer it, you set a date. Like,
exactly. I said, let's play it by ear. Let's play it by ear, because I think whatever. This goes back to the routine, which is kind of summing up this whole conversation on my end. You know, whatever we say yes to, it needs to have extreme intentionality, because your yes is the most powerful thing you have. You know, what are you saying yes to? You know, what are you saying yes to? What food are you saying yes to? You know, what entertainment are you saying yes to? You know, whatever you're saying yes to is ultimately going to define, you know, where you end up in life. So if I say yes to social media, it needs to be because it serves a purpose. Right now, I don't see the purpose.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this podcast is mainly for new entrepreneurs, right?
Sure.
Everybody's welcome.
Yes.
You know, but new entrepreneurs who want to get to that first level or that next level, right?
Yes.
But in a way, they feel stuck. They're not stuck, but they feel stuck, right? Give us 3 action steps that they can take today to just start moving forward, right? And, you know, just feeling some sort of like release of the pressure, right? Give us 3 action steps.
I would say first and foremost, and this is from my life, I had to come to the conclusion of I was not on anyone else's timeline. Once you realize that you once again, you are in control of your life, so you don't need to please anyone else. Then you say, I only need to please myself. You know, and that way I'm able to please the people that I actually do care about. You know, because it was an old quote, and I'm gonna get through it quickly. Of course. But it was an old quote that says, we buy things. What is it? We buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even like.
Right.
You know, so understanding that you are not on anyone else's timeline but yours. It does two things. It allows you to take full ownership, so you can't blame anybody else because they were rushing you. You take full ownership of the choices you make, right? And then it also allows you to operate at a healthy pace. Because I'm huge on the words of Jesus that said, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? You know, or what will a man give in exchange for his soul? You know, so number one, and I'll go through the other two quickly, but number one, understanding that you're not on anyone, understand that you're not on anyone else's timeline. You know, number two, I'll get very practical. Get enough sleep. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, and get enough sleep. You know, because our cognitive abilities are greatly diminished, you know, just by the one action of sleep. You know, and number three, I would say exercise. You know, exercise is free medicine. Our healthcare industry in this country is absolutely, positively terrible. But the one thing you can do that they cannot hike up the prices on is exercise.
That's
if I can't make it free. If I can't make it to the gym, I will do 200 push-ups, 200 body squats, 200 crunches, 200 chair dips right in my living room. And I have a membership at the gym. But if the gym, I can look on it, if it's too crowded, I don't have an excuse. Get it in where you are. You know? So the timeline, the sleep, the exercise, those are just three pieces. If you want more, holla at your boy with the discipline coaching. You know? Health is priceless.fit at gmail.com.
Okay.
You know?
Well, you have to have.
Even the dude Jordan Peterson. You know.
All right. Well, let's take a few minutes to talk about that.
Hey. I got another hour if you want. You know.
All right. So let's talk about mental toughness. You know, so that's huge in impact of the man you are today, right? So I'm gonna give you the floor and talk to us about mental toughness and the importance of that. So,
as I said, being a discipline coach, I want to address every aspect of discipline. The first and number one place to be disciplined is in your mind. You know, and that's why you have to control what goes through your ear gates and your eye gates, because it affects your mind. You know, so your mind is the battleground. You know, where you are when you're thinking. We were talking about Kobe earlier, but where you are when you're thinking is going to determine your behavior. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You know, so when it comes to mental toughness, it's because I know what discipline will bring me, is why I have the motivation to be disciplined in my mind. And what that means is I want to, so this guy Jordan Peterson, he said something in his book, 12 Rules for Living, that stuck with me, but he said, most people think that they think. Most people think that they think. Oh, I'm a thinker. When really you are a regurgitator. You know how to memorize, and you know how to repeat what you memorized. That's not thinking. That's not, I mean, it's helpful to memorize things because we all are learning from each other, but whatever information I get, I need to decide what's safe and what's out. I need to decide if this is beneficial to retain or if I need to let loose. You know, that's what being mentally tough is for me. You know, deciding what I'm going to ruminate on. You know, like I said, depression is being rooted in the past. Anxiety is being rooted in the future. I need to decide, what am I going to think about? And when you are thinking correctly, he talked about becoming two people. So I need to have one side of me that makes a claim about a particular thing, and then I need to have a other side of me that refutes that claim, that comes against that claim. Most people, this is why you have all of the political arguments that we've had in these last 2 years, right? I believe that the Dems, I'm not going to get too much into it, but the Dems and the Republicans are operating in utter foolery because they've made our political system this two-party entity that is only going to result in this: us fighting them.
Us versus them.
Jesus says a house divided against itself cannot stand. So as long as us fight them, then are either one of you being American?
No. No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when we, correlating that with the idea of mental toughness, I want to come up with my own opinions about life based on my experience and based on the facts that are presented to me.
Yeah.
And then I need to decide, what I'm going to believe.
Right.
And what I'm going to enact in my everyday life based upon this hard work I've done of thinking.
Yeah.
Of thinking.
Yeah.
I do this with my kids. I say, when I see them doing something in particular that may not be flattering to themselves or just out of character, I do this.
That's
and
it.
You remember the Malcolm X when the movie X came out and Malcolm X had the picture. We used to wear the X hats. Youngsters don't know about that.
Nothing about
but
it.
When I do this to my kids, they go, I know, think.
Wow.
They know that that's my mantra. Think.
Think.
One of the best things God has given us the ability to do is think.
Yeah.
We just got to know how to do it properly.
Right.
That's mental toughness.
Right.
Is utilizing the gift of thinking.
Most people don't think for themselves.
There you go.
Yeah. We were talking off camera about Kobe, and we're talking about the series.
Yes.
And you said that he came to the podium and he won the game.
Yes.
But you're not happy. And,
Yes.
And he said what?
They said, Kobe, why aren't you celebrating? He said, what's there to celebrate about? The job's not done.
The job's not done yet.
The job's not done.
And I said, well, that mentality is crazy. Yeah. He said the mentality was a choice.
Yes.
Right. It's like, wow, we have a choice on how to think.
Yeah.
But we have to make that choice.
Yes.
Right. And that's where the mental toughness comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
So, give us something in closing.
I'll piggyback to the health, and to the first thing I said as we started, which is if everything in your life has equal level of priority, then you have no priorities. Yeah. I caution everyone that is hearing our conversation, as two brothers who've taken ownership over their life, and are heading in a direction that they are intentional about. Because I think that's what success is. Yeah. It's not about arriving. Yeah. That's why Kobe wasn't celebrating, because he hadn't arrived. And even after he got the championship, he may celebrate in the parade because he's forced to go. He's a superstar. Yeah. But he was thinking about the next championship. Yeah. Because as long as we're breathing, we have something else to accomplish. Yeah. So in closing, I would just say, make your priorities real. Yeah. Make your that's actually a chapter from the book.
Make your priorities real. Okay.
Make your priorities real. Okay. You can't say you have priorities if you don't operate in a place of priority. Yeah. You can't say that health is wealth if you spend more time getting financial wealth than you do with bringing health and wealth to your body. Right. That's inconsistent. Yeah. That's inaccurate. Yeah. So prioritizing who you are and what gifts you have, and giving an account for your ability. Yeah. Holding yourself accountable by giving yourself an account for your ability. Yeah. I think that is the sum total of being a successful human being in this lost and dying world.
Awesome. Wow. All right. Top 3 books.
Yes. Top 3 books. Number 1 would be Tim Keller, The Reason for God. Okay. Number 2, and this list changes. Yeah. It changes throughout the journey. But number 2 probably would be Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Yeah. That book was so revolutionary for me.
I haven't read it yet, but
God,
it's on my list.
Oh my God,
must read, huh?
It's it's a bunch of clips of him on YouTube, and you can't even understand those clips until you read the book, because his life. Talk about creating the life you want. Yeah. So Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. And lastly, where would I go? Lastly, I think I would go with Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Yeah. Because that book, the thesis of it was, it brings balance to the idea of creating the life you want, because it was so sobering to see that everyone that we look up to as the picture of success, it wasn't because they simply picked themselves up by their bootstraps. It was because of series of events that gave them opportunities, and what we can learn from them is they took advantage of the opportunities that was set before them. Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, Warren Buffett, you know, all of these different people, they took advantage of the opportunities, right? So, you know, life, you know, it has that dichotomy of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, being disciplined, you know, accompanied with, you know, God-given opportunities that you have a choice to take advantage of or not. You know, so Outliers, Can't Hurt Me, and The Reason for God. Those are the three.
So so Can't Hurt Me is definitely on, I think, or it's on Amazon. So you got me there. So I want to sincerely thank you for coming and sharing your heart, right? Because it's rare that men are open and being comfortable with sharing who they are. You know, we're always sometimes super guarded. So I thank you for sharing your heart and your journey, and because I know it hasn't been an easy one, right? And I'm totally blessed by your presence, by your words, by your wisdom, you know, and by your energy. I'm blessed, so thank you, and I want to have you back. So if you agree to come back, you know,
man, 100%.
Hopefully when a book comes out, you can come. But thank you again. So we'll see you soon, my bro. Thank you very much. Love
thank you,
man.
man. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Let's go. Ooh, that was fire. That was fire. Where you been hiding?
Yes, sir.
Where you been hiding?
Man, I've been at 12785 Frederick Street, brother.
We've done a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
But this guy Dave only responded